right, good morning, everybody, and welcome once again to the Bearean Bunker broadcast. It's spelled bear for a reason. I am Tim, my wife Rachel, or SweetyBear, or Honey Badger, depending on the day. So, I appreciate you joining us. This is a Bible in a Year broadcast. This is number 74. We are in Romans. So the object is to get through a Bible in 1 year in 10-minute segments. And normally I break it and go to 15. We try to keep it to 10. So today...
I'm trying.
Yep. So today we're reading Romans 4.
We read 4, 5, 6, and 7.
4, 5, 6, and 7. And can I throw the summaries out?
Yep.
I'm going to throw the summaries out in this book of Romans. Abraham is set right by faith, trusting in the promise. Chapter 5, Shalom, peace with God through Messiah, yet sin reigns through death. Chapter 6, who is your master? Chapter 7, two laws at war. And that's the summaries of 4, 5, 6, 7. All right.
Wow. Yeah, there's so much in there. So I read 4 and 5, you read 6 and 7, and then we tried not to talk about it too much until the end because we would just never get through it, honestly. For the purpose of trying to get the Bible read. So 4 was a little hard for me because I think I have been taught. I depends on what the glasses you have on, I guess. That's how I would say it. And I've heard this taught before in a different way, and so my mind kept going there, and so I was having a really hard time understanding it, like what it really meant, because I was like, that really doesn't mean, the way it, to me, it's like kind of a confusing chapter. Because also in some chapters we've read, it is so clear. It's like, oh my gosh, they're down to the detail. And this just seems to be saying something I don't think it's saying. Does that make sense?
It makes lots of sense.
So I don't know if it's the way I'm looking at it or if I'm not understanding it. And so there you go. So that's my observation. And then you're going to, maybe for your observation, kind of clarify.
I thought we would have more of a conversation. I tend to make a speech. I realize that it's one of my many faults, and so I'm going to try to avoid that, just to keep it conversational.
Okay, I will add what I can.
Okay. So the epistles, you went to school, and, well, I'm not sure if this is going to get edited out, but our house was just hit by a water buffalo.
Felt like it.
Yeah, and everything's fine now. All right, well, whatever those questions were, they were really good. I'm sure of that. A lot of things have been happening this morning. I've tried to edit in this thing. Okay, so...
Go back.
I'm... Beep! Take 4. I can cut all this out. We can literally just do whatever. So the problem that we all have when we're looking at these prison epistles that Paul is writing is we're trying to look backwards into Paul's mind, and we have, like you said, glasses on, and the glasses are given to us by theologians and religious systems and other people's opinions and thousands of years of misunderstanding and wolves. So if the best way to look at Romans is to not read Romans until you understand Genesis and what God's relationship is with Abraham. Because if you're looking at Romans 4 and you're like, oh, what is all this stuff? But look how many times he mentions Abraham. Abraham was righteous. Abraham was faithful. Abraham. So then you say to yourself, where did it talk about Abraham? Well, you can go back to Genesis and you can see that God called Abraham out of Ur the Chaldeans and said, take a walk with me. And Abraham believed Yahweh would guide him and protect him and make him a great nation. God made a promise to Abraham. We are getting the benefit from God's promise to Abraham. That's how the context is. So when your pastor says you got to consider it a context or it's a pretext, you can't take context by reading Romans 5 and then comparing it to Romans 10 or whatever. You have to take what Paul was thinking. You have to take what Paul wrote to the Romans. He didn't write this to you. He wrote this to the Romans. And then the context of that is that culture, that history, and that character. It was written to the people who actually believed they wanted to be Abraham. So we are Abraham because we placed our faith in Yeshua Messiah. So then Paul goes on to explain this. Like Abraham held faithful. It's like if you read in Romans 4:3, Abraham had held faithful in Yahweh, and it was accounted to him as justice or righteousness. Okay? And then in verse 5, it says, in respect to not working, yet being a person who holds faithful upon the one administering justice to the guilty, his faithfulness is reckoned as an administration of justice. I know that's a lot of fancy words, but basically, if Abraham says, oh, I believe in Yahweh, and then stayed in Ur of Chaldean, we wouldn't have a nation. Your belief, your faith, if you believe somebody says something like, if you're in an airplane and somebody, is like, here's your parachute, jump. I packed it myself. And you say, I believe that you're a great parachute packer. And then you stay in the airplane and the guy's like, the airplane's gonna crash. Here it is, don't worry about it, I packed it myself. He's just telling you he packed it himself. He's just trying to reassure you, explain. And you're like, I believe you, you're the best packer. And you don't jump out because you're scared of the parachute. And then you crash with the airplane. Your belief means nothing.
Okay, so chapter 4, verse 5. But to the one who does not work, but trusts in him who justifies the ungodly, his trust is credited as righteousness. Just as David also speaks of the blessing on the man to whom God credits righteousness apart from works. So what is that saying? The one who does not work, but trusts in him, his trust is credited as righteousness.
Yep.
The one who does not work. So
right.
Explain that verse, if you can.
Oh, I can. No, I cannot. But Yahweh can. I'm no different than anybody who would share with you the scriptures. The Lord through the Spirit has to explain it. So, I would never ever tell somebody that you are justified by works. That was never an inclination, because our works are a merit-based system. How you say the wages of sin or this or that. And works are what was known by the tribes, as merits. And Yahweh doesn't accept merits. That's why when we place our faithfulness in Yahweh, we walk in his shadow. We follow him. So David was not justified by any works. As a matter of fact, David did a lot of bad stuff.
Oh, that's true.
But he loved Yahweh, but he kept doing, he did a lot of bad stuff. He wasn't really a good parent. I mean, he killed that guy also, but he was always repenting, always turning the soil over. His soil was fertile for the Lord to work. And the Lord did work mightily in David. He took out a bunch of Philistines and giants. And the Lord cleared a lot of land with David. David did a lot of work because of his faithfulness and faith in Yahweh. Faithfulness and faith are not, you cannot separate faith and faithfulness.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Verse 14. For if those who are of the Torah are heirs, trust has become empty, and the promise is made ineffective. For the Torah brings about wrath, but where there is no law, there neither is there a violation. For this, I mean, see, it keeps going. There's just like, for this reason, it depends on trust, so that the promise, according to grace, might be guaranteed to all the offspring. So I guess I am pulling out a verse, right? You got to just keep. There's a lot more to follow.
Right. So, like, first of all, I would tell anybody who wanted to debate Romans with me, I would say, number one, Romans is a letter to the Romans. Number two, if you are going to debate Romans with me, then we're going to go into Genesis 15 and talk about blood covenants, and then you'll get a blank stare. Number three, you'd have to understand that most modern translations of Bibles, they twist the words. These epistles are twisted by theologian after theologian after institution. So you end up with many different words meaning many different things. Okay. So I would say when you said verse 14, absolutely, because if those are customary legal procedures are heirs, faithfulness has been getting made empty, and the promise that has been getting nullified, because the customary legal procedure works toward wrath. But where customary legal procedure is not attempted, there is no legal dodge.
So how about the thing, the Torah brings about wrath, but where there is no law, there is no violation? How about just verse 15?
Okay.
What is that talking about?
The word Torah there, or probably in a normal, like a whatever Bible is probably uses the word law, is
where the law brings about wrath.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is the book of the law, the book of the legal procedures, the book of the Levitical process.
Brings about wrath.
Yeah. Because in Deuteronomy, Yahweh was telling Israel, because Israel broke the covenant on Mount Sinai. The covenant of faith was broken. Israel got a new covenant on Mount Sinai because Moses came down after the golden calf incident and shattered that tablet. And then Yahweh says, come on up and I'll give you a new one. Because your people are whores and they just are having an orgy around a golden calf and all this stuff. So I'm not having no part of that. And they had spilled blood on the assembly. Israel was the church. Church means assembly. Called out assembly, kahal, ecclesia. So they broke the covenant. So then God gave them a new covenant, and this covenant they brought down, and they put it on the outside of the ark, and it was all the stuff, the statutes and all this, and Levitical whatever. And that is the book of the law. It is the book of death because they cannot attain favor through the book of the law. The book of the law was just basically the Lord saying, fine, you don't want to be my wife, bride, or whatever, then you can be the slaves. And here's blessings and here's cursings. And they walked in that. And then when Yeshua came, he broke that. He ratified the covenant that they had broken. They brought us back to Genesis 15. We're going back. Romans is going to Genesis. Basically, if you're reading Romans, you read it through Genesis, the eyes of Genesis.
So in chapter 7, I won't go too much further because this takes a long time. But I've written down, they were released from the book of the law, ? And so I was trying to find where that was, but I see chapter 4. Therefore, my brothers and sisters, you also were dead to the Torah through the body of Messiah, so that you might be joined to one another. The one who was raised from the dead, in order that we might bear fruit to God. Oh, but there's something about being released from the law, released from the book of the law.
Yep.
Do you know where that is or what I'm talking about?
Yeah, put it back on.
Okay.
Back here, this one. It's the last page.
That's chapter 7.
Yeah. They're sticky.
Yeah.
So
up here was released. That was about the marriage. That's where I was going to. Oh, here it is. Chapter 6, or verse 6. But now we have been released from the law, having died to what confined us, so that we serve in the new way of the Ruach and not in the old way of the letter. That was it. And I'm like, what?
the letter, absolutely.
Well, isn't the law the letter?
There are 2 Torahs.
There's 2 Torahs.
Yeah. The book of the covenant
The book of the covenants.
that was given to Abraham, that was given orally to Abraham and Noah
And then that got
and
broken.
Enoch. Enoch had the book of the covenant. Enoch had, Adam had it. All these people were ministered to by the angelic messenger of Yahweh to give them this covenant book. And with it came the vows. For instance, when my wife and I got married, was there not a covenant?
Yes.
It was a covenant of what?
Marriage.
Right. But a marriage is based like, what's a marriage based on?
Trust.
What is trust?
Faithfulness.
Ding, ding, ding. How simple is that? Now, do we go through each other's drawers and rules and regs of marriage to make sure that we're still married?
No.
No. But is there a understanding about what you like and expect? Is there an understanding about what you like minimum expectations, and then even like things that you like that I pay attention to? Do I march around going, I am a husband, I am regulated, and this covenant of marriage? No, that's death. And that's what the Jews were doing. They thought they deserved something because they did. What if I was like, honey, I deserve intimate affection today because I changed the light bulb in the bathroom? Isn't that funny?
That's funny.
So then I would say, are you saying that you didn't want me to change the light bulb in the bathroom?
I don't want to go down this path.
No, I'm not going down the path of.
No, I know.
I'm not going down the path of intimate. Whatever. What I'm trying to say to you is, the ordinance.
Yep.
Oh, you say fix the hinge on the cupboard door.
You fix that hinge and then.
And then I fix the.
You rub my back, I'll rub yours.
Exactly. It's a merit. That's exactly what it is.
Yes.
It's a merit system. God, I observed the Sabbath and I did the appointed time, so I get in.
So bless me.
So bless me.
Yes.
Bless me
In
because of
whatever
my.
way I might
Bless me
think.
because of my merits.
Yes.
Okay. And so, so my point, Paul is saying that does not apply. That does not apply. That was a ministry of death. It was, and all this other stuff. But when you go back to Genesis, if you look at at Abraham's life, he still had these appointed times. He still had things that were expected in the covenant of faith, in the covenant of faithfulness. And he took a walk. And he walked with Yahweh. So that is what he expects. So you cannot read Romans unless you know Genesis.
Well, and we have read Genesis before, but it's been a long time. So we should have almost started there, but either way, we'll be getting to it.
Yeah, January.
Yeah.
Join us in 2022 when we go back to Abraham.
Yes.
We're going back in time, baby. Doctor Strange ain't got nothing on me.
And then we'll reference Romans.
Oh, thank you. I was hoping you were going to say that.
I'm taking notes.
Yep.
I'm making notes.
We're going to, with this Bible in a year, we are going to weave a web where, so we're scouts. We're not scholars. But you don't have to be a scholar, because guess who Jesus sent to those who want to seek the truth? He sent the
People?
The Spirit.
Yes, to each of us.
Yeah.
Yes. To guide and direct your thoughts and your questions. And,
Yeah.
Yeah. And your words?
And words. But guess what? You have to test the Spirit, because you could say, well, I got the Spirit. Well, I have the Spirit. And then say, okay, we'll need to test the Spirit. So you test the Spirit with the
Word of God.
which is a handbook.
The handbook.
Right, but Word of God. So God gave us the words so that we could look and follow in spirit. You can't have the Spirit without the Word. We agree on that?
We can.
And then you're gonna do a runabout.
Yes. Thank you
I'm-
for working through that with me. I'm sure we're gonna have to talk some more.
Yeah, we'll talk some more. So my observation was Romans 6, and that was, for sin shall not be master over you, for you are not under law, but under grace. What then? Shall we sin because we are not under law, but under grace? May it never be. Do you not know that whatever you yield yourselves to as slaves for obedience, you are slaves to what you obey, whether to sin resulting in death, or to obedience resulting in righteousness? Thanks be to God that though you were slaves to sin, you wholeheartedly obeyed that form of teaching under which you were placed. And after you were set free from sin, you became enslaved to righteousness. So you're either a slave to the book of the law, the Levitical blessing and cursing covenant, and all ordinances therein, like a traffic book. Like if you get a speeding ticket, you've broken the traffic laws. It's one unit. Or you are a slave to righteousness, and that righteousness was Abraham. But Abraham walked by faith in Yahweh. And you need to stop doing that. And that is the walk that we want as people of the faith. Faith is faithfulness. Belief, the word believe it has loyalty built into it. And it's a simple walk. So, you learn as you go. Love is a dance you learn as you go. But thankfully with Yahweh, you never have to lead, because you can always follow. Well, I'm going to compress this. We hit 20 minutes, but there was chaos today because my daughter worked midnights, and she came home and brought the little puppy. So we were having some fun with that. But I hope you guys have a blessed day. Remember, if you're reading Romans, you need to read Genesis and Exodus at least. Because if you're trying to read the epistles, you need to know the Torah. Ciao. Oh, and that rant I made at the end of yesterday's video, got some really nice comments from people that were struggling with hope. And so, yeah, my pleasure.